Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our February roundtable. Gonna turn things over to Matt. You want to do our opening for us, please?
Sure. Okay, so I don't have a graphic. Sorry, folks, because I didn't have a moment to put together a slide, but I will speak to you about Boy Scout Anniversary Week, which is coming up this week. So, the Boy Scouts of America was founded on February 8th, 1910. February 8th marks National Boy Scouts Day, and the day is celebrated during Boy Scouts Anniversary Week. Boy Scouts of America has its roots in Great Britain. British Army officer Lieutenant General Robert Stevenson Smith Baden-Powell founded the Boy Scout Association in 1908. W.D. Boyce, a newspaperman and entrepreneur, is credited for bringing the scouting organization to the U.S. The Boy Scouts of America has seen many changes through the years. However, its original purpose, to train youth in responsible citizenship, character development, and self-reliance, has remained the same. Okay. And we can all do the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know if I have a slide with the flag on it. Do you happen to have one, Ellie, or we can?
I do. I can
Right.
screen share. And do. Oh,
Okay, if you could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, then we'll move on to the Scout Oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Scout law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2.
all right. Thank you, Matt. And we'll move right on to Greg with council updates.
Yeah, so I will put a copy of this, actually a longer slide deck as a PDF in the chat when we finish here tonight, and it will be on the end of our recording as well for everybody. So I wanted to start by just saying thank you to Rebecca Hall and everyone that helped with the Cub Scout Yukon Days up at Moses last month. It was a great event, about 250 people up at Moses, and despite not having any snow, we had a great time. And patches have been ordered, and we'll get those out as soon as possible. Now, how do I make my slide move, Ellie?
You should be able to press an arrow or return.
I am. I might have to try starting over again. It didn't like that, so let me
And if that doesn't
it
help,
usually
then
works
my
for-
backup tech person, my go-to tech person is Matt. So.
is Matt, but let's see here. We'll try it again. All right, and share the screen. Sorry, everyone. It is bizarre. It's not letting me advance. I have a backup strategy. All right. We'll do it this way. Thank goodness for being a teacher for so many years and having a plan. Let's see, portion of the screen. All right. And I just have to shrink it down. Almost there. All right. Now I think it looks right, everybody.
Looks good.
Yeah, here
There
we
we
go.
go. Yay.
Yeah, so a number of changes took place January 1st for Scouts PSA, and a number will be coming up this summer for our Cub Scout program. I'm not going to go over all of the details, but I want to highlight them for you. There's more information in the slides that I will drop in chat, as well as at the website that will be linked there. So you can see some minor changes to our Scout and our Star ranks. And that's for requirement number 6. The cyber chip has been phased out. It no longer exists as we have known it. It has been completely replaced by the personal safety awareness videos that are online. This has been a pilot, and it's been an alternate opportunity for a year or so, but it's been completely changed for them. And then Eagle Palms, just a small change. When they earn their Eagle Scout, for every 5 merit badges above the 21 that they have already earned, they automatically get the Eagle Scout, that, or the Palms. That's been in place for a couple of years. But there was after Eagle Scout, if they finished a 5th one, there was a waiting period before they could earn them, and that has been eliminated. So if the day after they earn Eagle Scout, they finished up 5 more merit badges, that palm is automatic for them now. All right, the merit badges. I'm not going to tell you what has changed, but these merit badges on the screen, there's been some pretty significant changes to them. Interesting, golf has disc golf included, and skating now has skateboarding and roller skating. So some fun additions and some technical changes on those merit badges. These merit badges have smaller changes to them. Sometimes it's just wording, but I would encourage you to go online. You can see the URL on the page there. Go to the merit badge and click on the requirements, and just double check anytime you're doing a merit badge so that you're using the correct merit badge requirements. The pamphlets are not likely to be changing. So the supporting materials will be in there. So you'll want to make sure you're using the current requirements, perhaps the ones with major changes, adding new opportunities might have an update coming soon. Cub Scouts, there's a lot of videos and webinars online that are occurring. You can keep up to date at that long URL on the page, but I know every Friday there's a Cubcast, and at least once a month they're focusing on this, and I know everybody wants more information. They're putting it out as fast as they can. We just got some updates on the materials being available for review. So everything seems to be online that will have materials long before the June 1st date for folks to be able to see. This Saturday is our Klondike Derby. Registration is closed. You can see the numbers there, though. We are anticipating about 250 people as well, 30 patrols, 23 units. So we have a couple, I think 2 or 3 councils represented. Jeff, is there anything that you wanted to add in about that?
No, I don't think so. We got a good number of staff and a good number of stations, and looking to have a fun weekend.
Excellent. We'll see everybody at check-in. The OA has their fellowship this weekend, and if you work with youth in the Order of the Arrow, this Fuse training is a leadership training. It's offered to all the youth within the section of the 5 different councils. I know that the lodge has been putting out information about it. It's a great opportunity. It kind of falls in line with ILST and the NYLT trainings. And so they get together with other men and women from the lodges and work on their training skills, their leadership skills. WO's coming up as usual. You can find information online. Merit Badge University, people are asking me if Mia's on, feel free to jump in and add some more information here. But as soon as they have it, they'll be putting out information about MBU. They're just finalizing some of the merit badge counselors and scheduling with the university. Lynn Leonard has a great Cub Scout advancement opportunity coming up. She'll be focusing on some of the merit belt loops electives that will be phased out. So great opportunity to come for an afternoon on March 3rd. And I think it's from 1 to 4 for the younger scouts, 1 to 5 for the older scouts, and they can work on some of those belt loops for a day. And the rest I'll just throw up here so you can see, but our Pinewood Derbies, our registrations are open for all of our 3 districts. We really would like the units to do the registrations this year. We started allowing individuals to do it during COVID, but if the units would do the registrations for us, collect the money, that would be greatly appreciated. And I want to highlight that the top 3 racers from every unit in Lions, Tiger, Wolf, Bear, and Webelos, 4th grade Webelos, are eligible to race at the district level. And then there's an open class, and that is the AOLs can do that. Scouts BSA, siblings, adults, community members, anybody can enter a car, but they have to follow the rules. So watch for send those on in. We have not been getting a lot of open class, but we want people to know that that exists, and all of those advance to the council Pinewood Derby, including the open class. Stephen?
Hey, Greg, I just want to mention for the meta comment Pinewood Derby, we're still aiming for reserving. Oh, okay. You already got that on there. I didn't, it was out of order on the date, so never mind. I'll be quiet. You got it right there.
Oh, that's all right. So a lot of these I talked about already. So, and then Scouts BSA, our older groups, just hope you're making plans to join us at the Spring Conservation Camporee as well. Summer camp, which is seeing more units signing up. If you're interested in a camp promo kickoff, let us know. You can go onto our web page for summer camp and request that, and we'll try to get somebody out to you. And the 2 main things on this slide is just the Scoutmaster and Assistant Scoutmaster training, IOLS. Registration is open, and our Cub Scout training Blue is open as well. So look for those online, and if there's anybody else with programs that they wanted to highlight, this would be the time to jump in.
Wood badges coming in the spring of 2025.
Who's the course director, Ellie?
I am.
Yay. And then I'll let you
Yay.
introduce Heather, I guess, right?
All right. Yes, Heather, you have some information for fun stuff.
So we have the unit that started up in Holyoke, and we have Cub Scouts, and we're starting up with the troop. We were able to get the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Holyoke that we were opened up to all council. We just actually not even half hour ago, I got my first registration for it. All information is on the website, at our council website, and registrations through Tentaroo. Please register everything by March 3rd. Our arrival will be at 8:30 in the morning up by Kmart Plaza in Holyoke. All the information, all the rules, regulations that we have to abide by is regarding everything on the council website as well. It's fairly easy to get to it. Just look on the calendar. It's there as well. I put a flyer that you can download that's in the chat in the link. You can download that and give you some of the information. Please, if you have any questions, please reach out and contact me through my email, which is also on the flyer. And we're hoping for a big turnout. We will be featured on the news as well. So we will be live and everyone can see us.
All right, awesome. Right, and now we're going to turn things over to Tara Gilman Sheffield, who's going to do a presentation for us.
Ellie, do you have those slides to share?
I do. All right, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to share them or if you were going to share them.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I only have a Chromebook, sometimes it doesn't work as well.
Okay. All right,
Thank
let's
you.
see. Here we go.
So I just wanted to chat with everybody tonight a little bit about scouting with neurodivergent scouts. I think the next slide has a list, Ellie. So, neurodivergent scouts may have things like autism, ADHD, OCD, and ODD, learning disabilities, executive function challenging, and sensory processing disorder. Those are a list of the few things which are typically invisible disabilities that we recognize. And I think a lot of us are probably familiar with most of them. Autism has the use of literal language, difficult transitioning, special interests, social struggles. Your ADHD can be fidgety, impulsive, talking a lot. They lose items. They have attention span issues, as well as difficulty following multiple steps. And your OCD is your uncontrollable, reoccurring thoughts and or behaviors that they feel the urge to repeat. That was OCD. Your ODD is uncooperative, defiant, sometimes hostile towards peers, parents, teachers, and other authority figures. Your learning disabilities, including dyslexia, dysgraphia, difficult writing, your executive functioning, working memory, stress tolerance, having struggles with organizing, flexible thinking, and time. They have a lack of awareness of time. And your sensory processing, people are sensitive to sounds and lights. Sometimes it could be clothing, being in large crowds, touching things that they don't like on their hands. So those kind of cover some of the basic things that we tend to be familiar with in the different disabilities that are listed there. If you want to go to the next page.
Okay, Tara, I have a quick question for you. Um,
Yes.
if we have somebody who is considered passive aggressive, does that kind of come under ODD?
I would say ODD.
Just wanted to, because sometimes we get those kids who are sitting back and they're just waiting.
Oh, yes. Yep. I'm kind of sitting off to the sidelines.
Yep.
So I wanted to share some resources that people may not be aware of to help get some guidance on some of these different things and how we can work with the youth. So there is a Facebook group. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. It's called No Scout Left Behind. I see Heather nodding her head. No Scout Left Behind is a fabulous Facebook page. There are a lot of resources and knowledgeable people there. It's a great place to ask questions about a certain situation. And if you're concerned that there are people there that you might know that are part of that group, you can post anonymously so nobody can sort of pinpoint where you're coming from or who you might be referring to. It's a great place to search familiar situations, seeking guidance on a specific situation regarding a scout. There's also always wonderful accomplishments that are being shared there with scouts earning their Eagle and overcoming different things that are obstacles for them. And you can also learn about upcoming events that are happening that the National Special Needs Committee that might be presenting or hosting. You can go to the next page.
Okay.
There's also a website, ablescouts.org. That's the National Special Needs and Disabilities Committee that has that website, which includes the Inclusive Toolbox, which that Inclusive Toolbox can also be found on the scouting.org. It has a set of modules that helps explain scouting with special needs, including the roles of the leaders, the parent roles, navigating advancements, specific diagnosis guidance. There's information there for camp administration, and there's also camp training for different areas at camps under those modules.
Okay, Tara, I want to just interject something here under specific diagnosis guidance. There was
Yes.
just a piece on the news this evening about a lot of people presenting to their physicians having self-diagnosed as ADD or ADHD. This specific diagnosis guidance is not meant to replace a physician's diagnosis.
Correct. It is just what I'm referring to there is there are modules that
Mhm.
help you as scouters navigate handling those different diagnoses that
Right.
the scouts have already been given by a medical professional. It just helps you
Yeah.
learn to navigate those and apply our scouting to their world.
But if you have a parent who's coming to you and saying, oh, my child has ADD, has it been medically diagnosed, or is that their, so just for leaders and things, be on the safe side. But if you also, as leaders, suspect something, please feel free to speak with the parents and ask if there's ever been anything, and you may be the nudge that gets them to look at some diagnosis kinds of things.
I don't know if anyone else can see it, but I can't see the next slide. It's black on my screen.
Oh, I could see it. Is it showing up?
Everyone else can see it but me? Of course you can. Tell me quickly what's on it, and then I'll be able to tell you.
Able Scouts website, Abilities Digest, the newsletter.
Oh, yeah. So there's a quarterly newsletter that you can subscribe to. It's called Abilities Digest. They also feature previous articles on the website that you can search. What else is on there? I can't remember.
Special needs advancement training and mini conferences.
Yes, so there is a mini conference that is coming up in Minnesota. I know that's kind of far for us, but the national committee they started their first conference they had in October of 2022, which I attended. It was in New Jersey. So they are trying to move the conferences around the country so that everybody has something close to them at some point. There was one in Texas, and they did another one, I think, in January, and the next one is the one that's going to be in Minnesota. There's also roundtables. There's quarterly roundtables, which I think is on the next slide.
It is. There it is.
I still can't see that one either, but
You can't see that one. All right.
I
Would you
can't
like
see
me
it
to?
either, but I know there's four roundtables that have the dates listed there. They do not have the links posted yet, but you will be able to find them on the Eagle Scouting website. You'll also be able to find them in the Abilities newsletter, and they'll be posted on the Facebook page as well as soon as they have those links available, or if the dates change. Those are usually tentative dates. Sometimes they have to shift them a little bit, but those are typically close to what they have to offer.
Okay.
Which I have
And
attended
it's
some
on
of those too. I don't know if anyone else has ever attended any of those.
at the bottom of your slide, Tara. You do have information that says registration will be posted on Facebook, No Scout Left Behind, Abilities Digest, and Able Scouts. So
Yes. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we get that information on there.
Yes.
And the 4 dates are there right now. So
yes. Yeah. Those are the dates they currently have listed and the topics.
all right. All right. And that was your last slide. So
yes. Yeah. So does anybody have any questions? I don't know. Yeah. Something to share, to add?
I really like looking at the that Able Scouts site. That has just a wealth of information. It's almost overwhelming.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
All right. All right. And if you have questions or anything else, I would say put them into chat as the evening progresses, and then we can come back to them during our leader forum parking lot kind of thing. Okay. I need to backtrack a little bit because I jumped ahead in the agenda, and I need to go back to Art and share some information. So thank you, Tara, for all of that. That was just awesome information. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, all. Thank you so much. I'll try and do this as quickly as I can. I have several items for tonight. All right. So the pancake brunch scheduled for a Sunday upcoming. We have only a few registrations for that. We had put out a call for additional registrations. We still are not quite there. I had listed today as the deadline for that. I can let it go through the day tomorrow to see if there are folks on here that we're planning on coming out to the pancake brunch that we're going to have. And the purpose of this event was really kind of just to do a little extra marketing with our pancake sale, kick off the season. Last year, our pancake and maple syrup fundraiser did quite well for the council, and this was just an added event. And we're hoping that we don't have to cancel, but it will all be determined by you all. So I'll be watching to see if those registrations come in. I can let it go possibly till the end of the day tomorrow before I will send out to those who are registered if we've not reached a minimum. That also being said, the fundraiser itself is ongoing. I will drop in the chat when I'm done speaking, the link for all of that. There are several units that have signed up. Last year, collectively, as a council, we far exceeded the goal. So let's try and do that again. So the window is now open for you all to sell popcorn, pancakes and syrup. Well, you can sell popcorn too if you want. We still have some leftovers, but that was a slip of the tongue. Sorry about that. Other things going on. The Scout Shop Saturdays are continuing, so please come in and see our Scout Shop staff when they are available. The next one upcoming is this Saturday, so please do come on out. There's blue and golds and all sorts of other things going on, and so it's a great opportunity to come on out on a Saturday, 10 to 2, to do your Scout Shop shopping. Also, it is my pleasure tonight to introduce the latest Western Massachusetts Council staff member who is here on the call. I don't know if they are able to. Oh, I see her face now on the screen, so I guess at least we have that. So if she's not able to come on. Our newest development executive, Alexa Piscatello, just started today. She will be working on things like the Distinguished Citizens Dinner, the Celebrity Bartender, all kinds of other special events, grants. So I would like to introduce Alexa Piscatello. Say hello.
Hello. Thank you, Art. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm very, very excited to meet you all and be involved.
Great, thank you. And again, most of the volunteers here on the call will interact with her on a limited basis, but please do say hello if you're in the office or are involved with any of those major fundraisers. So, all right. Also there are still opportunities that we're looking for volunteers to join us on a education committee that's going to be mostly related to our exploring program as it continues to develop. But we are developing in-school programs, and we need both folks to volunteer in the background, perhaps to look at our curriculum, make sure they're calibrated properly, make sure, those kinds of things, as well as finding some guest speakers to come into classrooms. We also do need a different set of people that are willing to just be essentially chaperones, someone to come that has daytime availability and sit in a classroom while we are delivering program. As we all know, we have the Too Deep leadership issue in all of our programs, and we need, even though we may have folks that are delivering the program, we need some people with daytime availability in Springfield to visit classrooms and be present. You can bring books, knitting, whatever it is you might want to bring. Hopefully, you may be a little more willing to be active, but either volunteer or it actually might even be able to be picked up by one of our grants to give you some compensation for sitting in those classrooms. I think that is all I have. Oh, no, one more topic. Wanted to say thank you to those 4 groups that had Scout Sunday services this week. I know there's at least one more next week. Please do send in notes if you are participating in those things so we can carry that on in marketing and other things. But thank you to all of those. So there we go. Thank you. That is all.
Thank you, Art. David, as our council commissioner, do you have anything you need to share?
Well, lots already covered. I'd say first, it's great to see so many people here, familiar faces and some new faces. That's wonderful. So thanks for joining for Roundtable. One thing I did not hear Art mention was about the change in membership fees. It's relatively minor, but still something to pay attention to. And Art, let me know if I get this wrong, but taking effect April 1st, the new member fee is going away. The $25 new member fee is going away, but the youth and adult fees for the annual fees are going up by $5 each. There's information on the council website. There's information on lots of places, but again, just wanted to highlight that so you don't miss it. And I think that's all I have.
All right,
Thanks.
great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Our council district committee member this evening is Jay Latore, who's going to speak to us about what he does with Friends of Scouting.
Thanks, Ellie. Let me just get off my get my camera working here. Okay, perfect. Good evening, everyone. For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Jay Latore. I'm a member of the Council Executive Board. I also am a volunteer with Pack and Troop 49 in Springfield. And tonight I'm here to speak to you for just a couple minutes about Friends of Scouting, particularly the Family Friends of Scouting campaign. First of all, I want to thank you all for being volunteers in our council, as well as our professional staff that's here. And to thank you for your generosity and support of the Friends of Scouting campaign. Last year, we had a banner year for Family Friends of Scouting. For a very long time in our council, our participation rate in Family Friends of Scouting presentations have been hovering between 35 to 40%. Last year, as a council, we were well over 60%, and in some districts, we were approaching 90%. But every district made a huge leap forward, and it does so much for our council. Obviously, about 15% of our annual council budget comes from Friends of Scouting, so it has an important fiduciary role, but it is the opportunity for our FOS presenters to come into your units and to have a different person meet your families and your volunteers and take a minute to share their experiences about scouting and to try to evangelize the program and to remind everyone why we participate in scouting. We all have a lot of fun, but ultimately our goal here is to create life-changing experiences for young people that will allow them to grow and evolve and make friendships that last a long time, a lifetime, and to develop into our next generation of leaders. So we thank you for always opening your units to us to come and talk about this important fundraising opportunity. We are now in the 2024 Friends of Scouting campaign year. We've already had 3 presentations or more already completed in this first weekend. So if you're a unit that has already hosted a presentation or has scheduled a presentation, thank you. If you're a unit who would like to have a presentation but have not scheduled one yet, in just a minute, I'm going to share my screen and show you how to register for a Friends of Scouting presentation. You know, we encourage you to host your presentations during important moments in the year of your unit. So for Cub Scouts, those might be blue and gold banquets. For troops, they may be, you know, either court of honors. Some units will have combined FOS presentations associated with a crossover or some sort of larger event. We ask that you try to avoid events where there's a lot of things going on that might prove distracting. For example, we try to avoid things like Pinewood Derbies, where you've got 50 young kids running around the track trying to, you know, gear each other one up for a great day. Those are great things for scouting, not the best time for a Friends of Scouting presentation. You know, participation in Friends of Scouting presentations is not a formal requirement, but the council does want to partner with you in this effort to make sure that you can achieve your All In for Scouting goals. And one of the pillars of All In for Scouting is support. And for many units in our council, a single Friends of Scouting presentation often allows them to raise the kind of support to ensure their compliance at the highest level with All In for Scouting in a single day. So we encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. I'm going to share my screen for 1 second here. And Ellie, if you could just make sure you can see my screen. And let's see, I got to figure out how to hide this. Sorry, everyone. Hide loading panel controls. And then I go here and hide this. So the council has a website, and maybe Greg, if you wouldn't mind posting this into the chat, it's wmascouting.org/Friends of Scouting. There's a lot of really useful information here about Friends of Scouting and a great video that Ken White and others have worked so hard to put together to really talk about why Friends of Scouting is important and all the work that's going on in our growing Western Massachusetts Council. If you scroll down on this website, you'll see it really clearly here. It says schedule a unit Friends of Scouting presentation today. You hit the click here button. It will bring you to a form. And here is a very simple form that you can fill out with contact information, your unit type and number, the type of event that you are going to be hosting, your date and time of your event, the location of it, and anything else we need to know. You know, if you want a certain presenter, if you're going to have 75 people there, if you only want us to speak for 5 minutes, you can tell us all of that. And by the way, even if you're kind of not sure when your exact presentation is going to be, but you know what, Jay and Art, we know we're going to do it in May. We'll take that information for right now, and we can follow up with you. So I encourage everyone to take the time, if you haven't already, to please sign up for a presentation using this form. And then I just want to say one more thing, Ellie, and I'll hand it back to the group, is every year as we continue to grow Friends of Scouting presentation participation, there's an opportunity for us to have conversations with units. Some units that haven't, had presentations in a long time, units that might be new to our council and don't know what the presentation is, units that maybe had a bad experience, or maybe even have some misconceptions of what it is, or some current concerns about the council that they want to see rectified before hosting a presentation. My message, Art's message, Gary's message is we welcome those conversations. So if you feel like you got to have a personal message with us, a conversation with us, an in-person meeting with us, we will work with you. And I asked everyone here, if you know units that are hesitant about this or don't know about this, I'll leave my information in the chat. They can call me personally. I will give all the time I am able to help eliminate any confusion, misconceptions, and to really drive home the importance of participation at a time and date of your choosing. With that, I will stop sharing, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. And, I thank you all for being Friends of Scouting.
There we go. Thank you, Jay. Okay. I want to move right along. And Mary, you have some safety moment information for us.
I'm going to be taking that since Mary wasn't sure she could be here, so I prepared for that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Matt.
Mm-hmm. So interestingly, the topic is very similar to what Tara had already shared, but I do have a little bit of more information. This is actually an official safety moment from Scouts BSA. So we have information about ADHD. And Tara did a great job kind of summarizing a lot of the symptoms of ADHD. She mentioned things like, inability to pay attention and some fidgeting and difficulty waiting for your turn, things like that. Those are all common symptoms of ADHD. I do want to mention that, it's something that both youth and adults can experience. And it can make a scout meeting a little bit difficult to operate when we have an ADHD person in our units, but it's not anything we can't handle as leaders. There's not really a treatment that can cure ADHD, but there are many treatments that can prove effective in reducing the impact on overall functioning. And an approach that's most likely effective includes parent training and behavior management, an appropriate educational program, individual family counseling, and medication when required. Scout leaders are recommended to discuss with the Scouts' parents the approaches that are most effective, including the plan for prescribed medication during Scouting events. So those are some good conversations you might want to have, with Scouts as they and their parents as they join, kind of setting expectations of what that might mean for your unit. Some ways you can also help a Scout that has ADHD is you can seat them next to a good role model. You can allow them some extra time if you have work for them to do. You can make sure that you're giving clear, concise instructions when you have activities. You can ignore minor inappropriate behavior. So if it's not really affecting the other Scouts, that badly, then you can just sort of ignore it. Kind of supervise closely, make sure that Scouts are treating each other with respect, and give Scouts the opportunity to check over their work just to make sure they're being complete. And of course, we can praise the appropriate behavior from our Scouts that are doing a great job. So that's some additional material about ADHD. There are some resources that are shared from Scouting, Scouts BSA, and there's an organization, I believe it's called CHAD, that sort of references ADHD in children and adults. So might be a good way to get some more material if you want to learn more about ADHD.
Thank you, Matt. One of the things I just want to add a couple of things. One of the things about ADHD, and it's often a misconception, is that they have people with ADD or ADHD have difficulty paying attention. The difficulty comes in that they pay attention to everything, and they have difficulty filtering out the ambient stuff that they don't need to be paying attention to. So sometimes, I know Matt's slide mentioned providing extra time to complete tasks. Sometimes it's appropriate that you actually shorten or limit the amount of time that they have to complete tasks to keep them focused on the task. But thanks, Matt. That was really good. That was great information for everyone. All right. At this point, Greg, would you put us into breakouts for 20 minutes, please?
So tonight's presentation is about Cub Scout experiences. All right. So who's been camping with their Cub Scouts? All right. So it's a lot of fun. They have a lot of energy. But some things to think about and to remember. Oh, I need to move people. Sorry. Oops. Oh, back up. So some things that we need to remember, that the Scouts BSA has established some of the guidelines for us to follow. Supervision for activities include a qualified registered adult. Leadership. At least one leader needs to be current and has his weather for all units, whether you're a pack, troop, crew, ship. And it's also recommended to do this every 2 years. Cub Scout packs who are camping out need to have at least one trainer, one leader who is trained in balloon. Also, local council's approval is needed for unit coordinated overnights. So if you're camping with multiple packs, you need to have approval from your charter orgs to do so. If you're camping out, you want to make sure all of your activities are age appropriate for your campers. You're not presenting aerial light stuff to your tigers and things like that, because it'd be a little difficult for them to understand. Youth who are not registered with the unit may not accompany your parents or siblings. Let's see. Also for Cub Scouts, you're limited to your council's designated locations with appropriate facilities. So if you're, for example, if you're camping at camp, you're fine. But if you're gonna camp outside of Moses, there is a form you're supposed to fill out for pack overnights and submit it to the council office. Camping is limited to no more than 2 consecutive overnights. Family-centric program. Cub Scouts may tent with parents or guardians as outlined in the barriers to abuse. Let's see. Cub Scouts should attend camping with their parents or guardians. Lions and tigers must have an adult partner to partake. And for all other ranks, Cub Scouts can go with a registered leader, a registered parent or adult. They all must be youth protected and registered. And same thing for your Weebles and Arrow of Lights. Your lions, tigers, wolves, and bears camp as a pack. Your Weebles and Arrow of Lights can camp out as a patrol. There you are. Wow. So for Baloo training, we do have Baloo training coming up. It is in May. And it is May 4th and 5th. And Greg Stolfus is running that. Do we have any questions, thoughts, ideas?
Rebecca, summer camp,
Uh-huh.
I know is different than family camping.
Correct.
You want to explain some of those differences?
For summer camp, what do you mean for differences? I mean, they still follow the same guidelines for summer camp.
You have the same guidelines, but my recollection is that with summer camp, like the parents could come in and swap off.
Yeah, as long as they're registered with the unit. Yep. I mean, they still coming in. They have to have your youth protection. You have to have your registration and things like that.
Right.
Yep.
And it also goes for more than 2 consecutive nights, just in case anyone had not done summer camp. It's like half week or full week, so it's more than 2 nights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Greg just answered in the chat, Baloo is finished by 11 a.m. on Sundays.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Baloo is very fun to be at.
Yeah.
I've taken it and I've taught it before, so
I'll make them sing.
Yeah.
Yes, come prepared to sing.
Yes. Yes. And within scouting, it doesn't matter how well you sing, it's that you sing with enthusiasm.
Exactly.
It's guaranteed.
Rebecca, can I highlight a few things and then people can ask me questions? Because I get these questions all the time.
Absolutely.
Rebecca talked about anytime you're doing a program with a different unit, that you need council approval, and that's because your charter only allows you to provide programming to the youth with the adults that are on that charter. That's the extent of the authorization that you have. So if PAC 1 wants to do a program with PAC 18, the charter org of PAC 1 has not approved the adults from 18 to be working and present with their youth and vice versa. So it's easily done. We're happy. And I usually get an email and it just says, send me a letter and I'm going to most likely approve it as long as it makes sense what's happening. But that is the reasoning behind that. Anytime two units start doing a program together that are not from the same charting organization, it becomes in our council right now a council event or a district event. And then there's other oversight that's required for that.
And it doesn't matter whether you're a pack, troop, crew, or ship or whatever.
Yeah, the one place that's been BSA has not put out, I don't think, clear guidance yet, is if you are a Weeblos group that is camping with a troop, getting ready, for possible crossover experiences, they haven't, you're not really doing the event together. It's the den that's camping with its own leadership at the same location with the troop. And so you're there together, but you're really not integrating, should not be really integrating a whole lot. You are doing probably interacting in some ways, but you're not really running a program for both groups simultaneous. And if you're the same charter org, it doesn't matter anyway. But so related to that, a lot of groups have asked me questions around that. The PAC, that Arrow Light Den then is responsible for having 2 adults over the age of 21 registered in their unit. And if there's girls, there has to be the female there, as well as the Baloo, in addition to the troops leadership. And if I was an adult leader in both the PAC and the troop, I have to pick which role I'm actually serving in. I can't fill 2 slots at the same time.
I was just going to verify that because that's our problem right now. Every one of our assistant scoutmasters are den leaders. So we can't do a multi-unit camp out anymore. We have to pick the troop or the PAC.
Yeah. It's hard. I know a couple folks have been multipling into other folks' units so that the adults are approved by the charter org. And they're really just coming in as they're multipling in as like a scout or reserve. So somebody they can call on, but that way, I think that was always a practice where people would just borrow somebody from another unit. Or a Baloo person. So this is, I think a lot is coming out of because of the lawsuits and just, drawing the lines between things, saying, okay, we can still borrow, but let's get a official approval so we know your chartering org knows that they're working with your youth.
Now that the adult registration is available online, it's actually very quick because I just had to do this last week before Yukon days and it took 10 seconds to go on to scouting.org to register with another PAC.
Yeah, it will slow down a little bit, Stephen, only because they'll be putting a temporary pause in just to verify the background checks. But still, it will be quick.
That's all really good information because
Mhm.
there's so much happening and we have, as our demographics change, getting the adult participation can be a little more challenging too. So even if someone says, oh, well, I can be available, some days, but I can't be a registered leader. Well, get registered on paper, even if it's as a reserve person, so that you have that bucket of people to pull from.
Does everybody know what a scout or reserve position is for? Or is anybody wondering?
I am
Yes?
actually wondering.
Okay.
Yes, I'm
So-
wondering because we could use some.
Yeah, so and this is probably important for like all in for scouting purposes as well. Scout or reserve is somebody who wants to maintain the registration with the Boy Scouts of America, be associated with your unit, and you can call on them when you need them, but they're not likely going to be there regularly. So they're not a direct contact leader, but you can call them in for something temporarily. So the only requirement for training is the youth protection training for that individual. And then they're fully trained for their role, and then anything else you might want them to have. But it's not a place to put somebody that just hasn't finished their training to kind of get around all in for scouting. So, but that's their role. They pay a full fee, but there's a full federal and state background check performed on them.
It is,
So would this
but
be like,
it's-
oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Renee.
Oh, I wanted to know if this would be like something that you would do for like a substitute den leader, for example. So like maybe you have someone that's not available all the time, but you have them do YPT and they do like the den leader training and they're not assigned to a den, but someone's sick, they
You
come in and
could.
cover.
You could, there's a second category called college scout or reserve. And in some troops, when the scout turns 18, they're not really going to function as an assistant scoutmaster. So registering them that role doesn't really make sense. That's not what they're doing, but they may come to some events and help out at times. So the college scout or reserve is for that like 20 to 20 or 18 to 22-year-old at college or military. So yeah, Rachel, that would be probably that they're just helping out and you want to know they have a background check.
Okay.
The other thought that comes to my mind is that if you have people or friends, say Eugene wants to do some things, but he needs a female leader. I'm not a member of his unit, but if I were registered as a scout or reserve with his unit, he could call me up and say, hey, I'm short an adult female, can you come? And that would, even though I'm not near him, if I were registered as a multiple with him, that would work that way.
Right, and that
Do you
way
have to
you would
pay
be
for-
approved by the charter org.
I'll only
Do you have to
call on
pay
you
for a
when we have a
multiple?
20 Cub Scout camp out.
There is no payment for a multi, you only pay once. And once you have a paid membership, you can multiple in as many units and positions. I mean, realistic. But yeah, you can. I mean, if Ellie wanted to make herself available to every single pack and girl troop in the council, that would be possible.
I just planted something in Iris's brain because I see her grinning from ear to ear. I'm
And
waiting.
Peter, there's something wrong with his
That's
neck.
because she's saying no, no.
No.
I would honestly, I would suggest, because I know some of the people who are scouter reserves, and some of them, quite honestly, I would love to help a unit if I had a unit. I don't have a unit, but I think it's important for you to know the person as well. I really do, to make sure that they're a good fit for your unit. It's just human nature, you know?
Yeah, and that is the charter org's responsibility, and the unit leaders should be helping doing a background, getting interviewing them and checking their references. That's part of that process. The Boy Scouts of America does not vet individuals for appropriateness for the unit. That's it's the charter organization's responsibility with the support of the other adults. The Boy Scouts just provide the federal and the state check for another layer. And that's why I think a lot of these rules that we're seeing being required are coming into place, because the Boy Scouts always intended that to be the case, but it wasn't always understood that way.
And Rachel, I have to apologize. I referred to you as Renee earlier. Sorry.
That doesn't matter. I have so many sisters I go by.
I think she was talking about the cat.
Yeah. And I think when Rebecca was talking about adults camping, I think she clarified this, but for Cub Scouts, they do not have to be registered to camp, but the unit needs 2 adults over the age of 21, and the adults that are camping must be the legal parent or guardian of the youth. So there's no grandparents and uncles permitted to camp overnight anymore unless they have that legal status or are registered with the Scouts.
After completing this session, you should be able to cite why we need to look continuously for new leaders and plan for and recruit your replacement.
If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail.
Benjamin Franklin. There are no forever jobs in scouting. Troop leaders need to recruit a successor because they may have to leave the troop for life reasons. Their scout may want to pursue other scouting opportunities. A family situation could mean a change in involvement. Studies show that when parents are involved with the troop as leaders, their scouts have a better time and stay in the program longer. Here's one process for finding and recruiting new leaders. To be clear, we're not talking only about finding a replacement for the Scoutmaster or the Assistant Scoutmaster. All the troop committee positions require succession planning. Use the Troop Resource Survey to discover what skills and interests exist among the parents and any other volunteers. Identify from the survey those who would work best with youth and others whose attributes make them better suited for the troop committee positions. Aside from the Troop Talent Survey, you might consider one-on-one meetings with the following groups to identify potential leaders, starting with families who were leaders in Cub Scout packs. These folks make ideal prospects because they understand what being a scout leader really means. Then, there are individuals who want or need to change their position in scouting. You might also approach members of the chartering organization, and mature Eagle Scouts who want to give back could make ideal troop leaders. Once you've identified and connected with potential successors, conduct a meeting with your candidates to explain how each can help make the troop successful. Describe what jobs need to be filled, what the position entails, and the time involved, without using scouting jargon if the group consists of parents that are new to the program. No one has to say yes immediately. Let everyone consult with their families. Then capture in writing who volunteers or who will consider a position. Now the time comes to get a commitment. Use your list of those interested in taking a leadership position to contact the people individually. Remind them what the job entails. Be sure to address any questions or concerns and make them comfortable. Ask them to take the position. Tell each one how to access available training and who can help them succeed. The successor could also shadow the current leader until they understand the position by doing. So in closing, remember these 3 things. Recruit leaders continuously and then let them lead. People do things in different ways, so let them do so. Recruiting will be easy if your job looks simple and fun. So take some time now during this breakout session and discuss how to approach leadership succession at your council. Thanks for watching, and scout me in.
Okay, so we saw the video and have some ideas of what we're talking about this evening with recruitment. and succession planning. Does anyone actually use the leader interest form that they discussed at the beginning of the video to kind of gain our skills or talents form? I know we have it in the venturing program. I haven't seen it in the Scouts BSA program as much, but I imagine it's still out there. Do you folks hand them out to your leaders or your parents as they join, as a way to kind of get information about what skills and talents that they may have? Might be a good practice if you aren't doing that yet. I see Fritz raised his hand.
Yeah, I do that, and I try to make it clear that we're not looking for a new scoutmaster. We're looking people to help out, take on an assistant position or work on the committee, and find out through that parent talent survey or resource survey what their interests are. And it might just be that they want to help out with campouts, or they have a particular skill that could appropriately translate to scouting, and they could help out at troop meetings or on campouts teaching skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great way to kind of set the expectation that they're going to be participating, even if it's just in a small matter to start. Monique, you have something you want to share?
I actually had a question.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding leadership. I just got an email from Greg today about a youth that had aged out, and like you were saying, like an eagle,
Mm-hmm.
taking an adult role, but it was one that I hadn't heard of before. So I wanted to find out how this role works for leadership, a college scouter reserve.
Mm-hmm. So Scouter Reserve is a position that's sort of a placeholder kind of. You put them on your charter as a way to kind of get them onto your unit, and then you can find a spot where they fit in eventually, so they may not be an assistant scoutmaster, especially if they're at college. They may not be able to be at most meetings, but it might be a good opportunity for them to help out at summer camp, or maybe to help with fundraising during the summer or things like that, or during their school break. So it's sort of a Scouter Reserve, I believe, is just a kind of a place to put them onto your charter so that they have a way to make sure that they're youth protection trained, that they have the registration all set so that they can sort of move into a role as one becomes available.
Okay. But if they're not 21, they don't count as too deep leadership, correct?
That's correct. I think the newest rules require 21 years old, but they can be a third leader, for example. Yep. So that's a great question. Yeah, so those older scouts.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Those older scouts are a great opportunity, a great resource for you. Everyone's kind of going through things in their life, so you never know what's going to happen. If a scout leader might have to leave the area or move away, or something changes in their life so to have that sort of group of folks ready to kind of step up, which is really important.
After completing.
Sorry. So here's some questions based on the video and kind of other topics regarding succession planning.
Wait.
Yes.
Can I just interject one thing about the college scouter reserves?
Go ahead.
When it was set up so that it didn't affect your JTE scores, as far as they don't have the time to take all the necessary trainings. So you can circumvent some of the training requirements that you might have for one of those college kids. So just as an aside.
Thank you.
Good to know. So succession planning, it's, what is the idea of succession planning? It's just to make sure that you have a group of people ready to step in when necessary, because of those unexpected changes in our life and things that may happen in your unit. But it's sort of a thing we should all be thinking about all the time. What positions need a succession plan? Anyone have any thoughts about that? I'll give you the answer if I don't hear anybody respond.
All of them.
Yes, good, good, Mary. Yeah, you never know. It could be your scoutmaster that needs to change, or it could be your committee chair. It could be even your new member person that might need to, step in. So you should always be planning for every position to have a backup, somebody to be able to step in. Where do you think your best next wave of adult leaders might be? Who in your group might be the best place to look for your next leaders?
Cub Scout leaders who are, and parents who are moving up from Cub Scouting into a troop.
Great. Yeah, parents are really a great place to look. And leaders coming up from the Cub program especially are familiar with the scouting program enough that they probably would be an ideal person to step into a leadership role. But it could be a lot of other people. It could be former scouts, people from your chartered organization who've shown interest, things like that. But keep all of those people in mind and get those talent surveys out so you can start to understand those people before you start considering them, and hopefully get them involved in your unit in a smaller way before they have to take a bigger role. And I just sort of gave away the answer to the next one, but how do you identify the right leader for the right role? Hopefully that talent survey might be a good way, or recommendations from other scouts, scout leaders. If they had a great experience as a Cub Scout leader, maybe they're going to make a great Boy Scout or Scouts BSA leader as well. And when should we be starting our succession planning? When do you think is the ideal time? Well, it's one of those trick questions. You should always be thinking about succession planning. Really, there's no great time to start, but you should already be doing it. Hopefully your unit is prepared, and I think I know at least one of the JTE forms requires, or sort of gives you points for being ready for that. So a succession plan is always a great idea. What are your thoughts, Mary?
Art put it in the chat that the succession plan is now part of the All In for Scouting aims. So as we're looking to, have our units qualify for the All In for Scouting program, you have to have those the succession plans in place and submitted so that everybody knows you're doing the job, and that you have somebody to replace you when you can't do the job for whatever reason.
Very good. So obviously the council realizes the importance of succession planning. It's one of the most difficult things is to recruit a leader when there's an open position, because you're kind of putting them into the fire without any sort of warm up. So ideally, you want to make sure you're planning for that, and I think that's why All In for Scouting really suggests that as a good way to be prepared.
And Matt, if I could just make a quick comment. I mentioned this at the youth protection training that I did recently. Ideally, you're selecting a new leader from a group of prospects, and you've had some time to identify a number of people to fill one position, and you've done interviews, and you're really selecting somebody to do the job, rather than have an open position that you absolutely positively have to fill in order to recharter. So you pick the first person who's willing to volunteer. And sometimes you wind up with the wrong person. So it really should be a selection process. And that's why it should be an ongoing thing all the time. You should, I think, as a committee chair or chartered organization representative, you should be constantly looking over prospects and thinking about who could fill a position. You never know who's going to get transferred or have an illness or something else that will take them out of the scouting game. So you always need to be prepared and have ideas about what's going to happen next.
Well said. Does anyone have any experience with finding a succession or preparing a succession plan that they'd like to share with the group? Or an unusual or different place where they found a leader before? I think a lot of chartered organizations probably would love to hear, that you're thinking about this, and that you are looking maybe to kind of get some spots opened or positions backfilled. But they hear that, I think some groups may have somebody that they have been thinking about and may want to kind of give them an opportunity. So I know that like my charter organization is pretty good about helping us if we're kind of stuck or need somebody. They might have somebody in mind, so it might be a good opportunity. Community organizations might be a good way as well. You know, your various clubs and groups throughout the town, if they um, have youth protection type training already, you know, they might understand working with youth. Um, Teachers might be a good opportunity as well, but we're all very busy, as of course, so it's hard. It's not always easy to find a leader, so that's why it's going to be constant, this topic. Aaron suggests that talking to family members might be a good way to find other people. Like having a good rapport with their family might be a good way to kind of make sure that they're kind of open to the idea of being more ready to be a leader or to step into a role. It's a good point. Thank you. We have a few minutes left. Heather, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, so what I've learned for the units I work with, as you know, I work at a lot of units, that when I tell them that they can actually sit there, go along with the journey with their children, you know, not only the boys, the girls, but all their kids. They start with the Cub Scouts and they can work on their way to watch them and help them along their journey to become Eagle. That is how I got actually some of the participants to sign up. Even with example, my aviation, we've also got some parents step up due to that. You can do this journey with your child. And that was a way of saying that you can do it along, not just here you go, here's your program, but encouraging them that saying it's a family thing where you guys can do it as a family. And that was how I got succession for that.
Yeah, I think sometimes parents are just waiting to be asked. You know, we don't always feel comfortable sometimes doing that asking, but if you become more familiar, like Aaron suggested, you know, have that great rapport with your parents, they'll be more comfortable potentially talking about it, talking about the idea. Could be a parents' night where you sort of discuss and start talking about the needs and how your troop might have some opportunities for leaders. I would say, like as an adult in scouting, the idea of going to scout camp as an adult is really cool. Like I'd love the idea of going to scout camp again. So I think maybe some parents would like that too. So you know, maybe give them that idea. I know that's one of the ways that you know, George Adams and Brimfield kind of gets parents involved, is to kind of let them know that, hey, by the way, we're going to be going to summer camp this year, and we'd love to have a few parents with us, and maybe that's an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about scouting. And eventually, those folks end up as assistant scoutmasters. So it's funny how that works. Yeah, start small and go from there. We have like 1 minute left. So anybody else have any thoughts before we wrap back to our original group? No, I think we're pretty good. So thank you for your time this evening. We do have a little bit more in the roundtable, our closing, and a few last announcements. So we will be back to the full group shortly. Thank you, everybody. And I hope to see you next month in person. If you happen to be able to come to Westfield, I know we'll be doing a pie.
Welcome back, everybody, to the main session. Were there any things that popped up anywhere, or questions that we needed to address during the leader forum at all? I trust everybody had a really positive experience in your breakouts. Okay. Before we go to closing, I just want to give you all a heads up about March. March 4th is going to be our next roundtable. It's a hybrid. So we will be in Westfield and we will be via Zoom. It is, our food challenge is going to be pie, since Pie Day happens in March. And one of the pies that will be available is shepherd's pie. It is not meant to serve as your entire dinner, but it will be there for tastings and stuff. And then we invite all of the other units to come and bring some sort of a pie, and we will vote and we'll have an award and the whole bit. Right?
Ellie, could I make an observation before you close?
Sure.
The other night, our son called us and he was on the way home from his roundtable. Now he's in Central Florida Council. And I said, so how many people did you have at your roundtable tonight? And he said about 30 or 35. Now, consider the size of Western Massachusetts Council. Consider Central Florida. You know, we had 35 people here at Roundtable tonight. Isn't that pretty good? Next time, we're going to have 40 and we'll beat them. That's all. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it is interesting to hear the differences between here and there. We have a much smaller council. Actually, our council probably fits inside one of their districts. But when it comes to district events, they actually get to use an abandoned section of what was Patrick Air Force Base. It's now Patrick Space Force Base. And the district event that he was a part of presenting things for a year ago this fall had 20,000 participants for their district event. So, oh no, 2,000. I'm sorry. I moved over one space to over 2,000 participants. So wouldn't that be nice? But they're struggling with their roundtable attendance just as we do. So, all right. Mary, would you like to, you have a closing for us?
I'd be happy to. And this was actually kind of a good closing. I was actually I apologize for missing the beginning. I was at a crossover ceremony and it reminded me that we don't really talk about some of the reason for the salute and the handshake. And so my closing today is about the Scout salute and handshake. The Scout salute and handshake are ancient signs of bravery and respect. Back in the days when George Washington was general of the Continental Army, men carried weapons for their protection. When they met one another, there was an uneasy moment as each watched the other's right hand. If it went towards his sword or gun, there was a battle. But if it went to his hat, it was a salute of friendship or respect. The left-handed shake comes to us from the Ashanti warriors, whom Baden-Powell knew over 100 years ago in South Africa. He saluted them with the right hand, but the Ashanti chieftains offered their left hands and said, in our land, only the bravest of brave shake hands with the left hand, because to do so, we must drop our shields and protection. The Ashanti knew of General Baden-Powell's bravery, for they had fought both against him and with him, and they were proud to offer him the left-hand shake of bravery. During February, we will honor the birthday of two brave men, General Washington, founder of our nation, and General Baden-Powell, founder of our scouting movement. As you use the Scout salute and handshake, remember these two great men.
Thank you, Mary. That was beautiful. And thank you everyone for attending this evening. If you have questions or concerns, you know that we're always here to help network with you. And enjoy celebrating Scouting's birthday this month. Enjoy Valentine's Day. Enjoy Leap Day. And we will see you in March to have some pie. All right. Good night, everybody.